Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Talking Shop. Oh my goodness! I hope everybody out there is excited about Thanksgiving and eating whatever food that you prefer on Thanksgiving Day. All I know is that my feed has been full of people posting pictures of how many sticks of butter that they are using this year for their cooking. So obviously, everyone's been watching the British Bake Off show and has been inspired to cook many things with much butter, which I say that's the way it should go. We're going to have fun today. I often get to talk to my good friend Dirk. I hope you guys all have gotten to know and love him by now, but he always is making the coolest new projects. It's either usually spooky horror, which is where he's super strong, or in wrestling, which he always pounds on that too. It's so good. We're talking about some cool Lon Chaney goodness today. Share, like, tell your friends to show up because they like horror, you know they do. And I'll see you guys back here in just a second. Everybody, and welcome to Talking Shop. A good reminder that is a completely interactive show. You can ask as many questions as you want. I will try to get them all in front of our super awesome guest, Dirk Manning. Everyone, welcome him in. Hello.
Hello, my friend. I love your shirt.
So no lie, I usually look for this shirt if I have an inkling that I might get to interview you. But
right.
The way I keep all of my shirts, maybe you do the same thing. I fold them, and so all I can see is just the very edge. And I have way too many shirts like everybody else, and so they're smashed on top of each other. So I'll be peeking in between, is this the black shirt?
Right, digging through. Right.
I just happened to be in my closet this morning and looked down, and right there, prominently, where I can grab it easily, was your face.
Hey, it's good for scaring away the rats and things like that. All multiple uses. It's funny. One of my few regrets in my career is that because I became kind of like the guy in the black suit, right? Is that I don't get to rep all my cool geek shirts, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because I have tons of them, and it's just so fun. And if I'm at the grocery store, or, just doing something around the office or whatever, I don't wear a suit all the time when I'm just working around the house, or working around the office. And years ago, I was at a horror con, and someone said to me once, "You know what you need to do?" Because I had the same lament then. They said, at a convention, casual Sundays, and yeah, and I thought about maybe just wear the t-shirt under the jacket, but then it'd be Miami Vice and stuff, and I'm I thought about it, and I just can't bring myself to do it. So the struggle continues. And people that don't know me, oh, this guy in a suit, they don't know I'm a metalhead or that I love geek stuff or horror. I nice street trash shirt, and they're yeah, whatever, yuppie. No, you understand? I'm at work. It's my outfit, so my uniform. But anyway. Great shirt. Thank you for repping the old school 20 Years of Terror shirt, my friend.
I think this one was made because weren't you badgered by all of your fans? You must make a shirt or else.
Yeah, it was a situation where I probably don't merch out my stuff as much as I should sometimes, which sounds ironic because I do, a couple Kickstarters a year. But yeah, it sounds like a joke. Like my readers were like, you got to make a shirt for your 20 years. Because I joked about making like a tour shirt. So like the shirt you have is the 20 Years of Terror shirt, which we made 2 years ago, right? And on the back, instead of the tour dates, it's every book I published in my first 20 years. So it was really fun to do. It was really cool. And I'm glad I just did like a limited edition shirt. People could get it or they didn't. And it was fun. And it was fun to like see like all, like you said, like you showed, all those books I've done in 20, to that point in 20 years. And now, I don't know, I thought maybe at that point, I'm like, well, that's it. That's the peak. But now I'm working with Lon Chaney, and it's just things are continuing to just go in amazing directions.
Is it just like a crazy happenstance that his kind of like aesthetic look is really like yours?
Yeah. You can see the background here. Everyone I think is familiar with his iconography of the man in the beaver hat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're referring, of course, to this. Not a coincidence.
Not a coincidence.
This is an homage to this, and it has been for 20 years. I never wanted my brand to be associated with a picture of me because I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not comfortable being in front of cameras and stuff like that. But I also didn't want my brand to be like in my banner at shows to be tied to like Nightmare World or Tales of Mystery. Despite how proud of in those books, I didn't want to be the guy with that one book, right? I wanted the list, a library of books.
Mm-hmm.
So when the question became, well, like, what would Dirk Manning's brand or icon be? You think back to the classics in the lost Lon Chaney classic, The Man in the Beaver Hat, because this is it was a lost film. So we based this on this, right? And now, 22 years later, I'm working on the graphic novel adaptation of this, which is just it's just wild. It just blows my mind to this day. I still like pinch myself every day as running this campaign and things like that.
I can remember when you had the information that you had gotten the job, but you could not tell anybody.
Uh-huh.
You were like, you had become like an 8-year-old boy.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. And that was like the thing, it's like, there's friend DAs. Sometimes you can kind of give people a heads up, but this was when I couldn't really officially tell anyone. And you're right. I was just like, here's this thing I can't tell people about, but I'm so excited. So yeah, I'm excited to get to talk about it now. And we'll talk again after the first of the year, because my next thing after this also is with a huge name in horror, but I'm on like a legit NDA until January 1st on that. Okay. And what a world, Jen! What a world! It's just crazy to get to work with Lon Chaney Entertainment and bring back this lost horror film as a graphic novel.
Well, this says a lot to your professionalism that you've worked with some really big names in wrestling and elsewhere. It's obvious that they've shared the information that you respectfully and seriously handle, adaptations into graphic novels, things that are very important to them, right? Because they are their brands. They can't just let it go to anybody to make nonsense out of it. Because there's been that kind of stuff back in the like 80s and 90s where things were made that were kind of like, it was the era of kind of hope. But this stuff, I know you're handling it with respect and with seriousness.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And yeah, there was a time when everyone was just, like you said, the 90s, especially, people were branding out their properties. But it's funny because I see myself, I self-identify as a creator-owned comic guy, right? Most of the stuff I do is creator-owned. But as you said, in the last number of years, I've got to work with Twisted. I've got to work with Tony Schiavone. I've got to work with Arn Anderson. Now I've worked with the Harp Twins. Now I'm working with Ron Chaney of Chaney Entertainment. And then there's this other thing floating in the wings that we're going to announce in January that, again, it blows my mind because I've never seen myself, nor am I the type of person that chases this type of stuff, right? When I'm doing a book doing the graphic novel adaptation of London After Midnight, that means I don't get to work on, just to pull a name out of a hat, Hope 3 or Mystery 6 or what have you, because I have so many slots a year to do so many books. So I don't necessarily chase these gigs, but at the same time, like you said, when someone recognizes that the level of respect we're going to treat this property, and if it's something that I equally have so much respect for, as in the case of this one, it's a no-brainer. You reshuffle the deck, right? And it's such an honor, you know, especially something like this. My fantasy has been for years that someday I'd be at a horror convention and like someone would have like a box of reels, and like you open something up and it's like London After Midnight, the lost horror film, you know, filmed in 1927. It was destroyed. The last copy was destroyed in the fire in the 1960s. That was a legit dream of mine, Jen, that even if I didn't find it, that someone would find it so we could bring it back. And when I started talking to Ron Chaney of Chaney Entertainment about taking some of his stories and bringing them to the graphic novel form, which was a connection made by George Villakis of Twisted from Haunted Highlands.
Really?
Yeah, small world, right?
Wow.
yeah, right. You know, and when I found out that London After Midnight was an option, it was like, again, like my heart stopped. I'm like, what's going on right now? We can do this. So to get to bring this back, and again, as you said, my process working with any other creator on something that's their brand is nothing about you without you, right? Every step of the way, Ron Chaney has got to review everything, be involved in it, and taking this story and adapting it to a graphic novel, 140-page graphic novel, from the screenplay, and still let it read like a graphic novel, right? I didn't want, like you said, I want it to be like this cheap, like, adaptation. I want this to be like a definitive edition of the work. And then on top of that, I still want to read like a graphic novel, but still honor the story itself. That's a fine tightrope to walk. And when Ron Chaney went through it and approved like the final chapter, I broke it into 6 chapters, the movie. It was such a breath of relief. Like, okay, because I know Joshua Ross will rock the art. Colin Johnson will do amazing on the colors. You know, Dave Luntz will do great on the letters. Drina Joe will make sure that nothing, you know, slips through they shouldn't. I had faith in all of them, but me actually bringing it to this point to get it to them was a little nerve-wracking.
Okay, so give everybody a little bit of background. Like I feel like I've seen this iconic picture a lot and maybe know just a very base amount about Lon. Like tell us about the man.
Yeah. Lon Chaney, you know, the man of 1,000 faces, you know, on London After Midnight, I feel, having read the original screenplay, was really a movie developed with Todd Browning, among others, who went on to do Dracula for Universal and Freaks, you know. So very famous pre-code horror films. I really feel that London After Midnight was meant to be, or the enticement of it was a makeup special effects vehicle for Lon Chaney. Lon Chaney plays several characters in the movie. He is an unmakeup role, and then he is the man in the beaver hat, at least, you know. And so you're right, that this iconography of him as the man in the beaver hat with the teeth and you know the big eyes and stuff like that. I really feel that this was a movie that was meant to display the level of incredible work he could do with makeup and special effects. And on top of that, it's a really cool story. It's like this murder mystery story, and there's this like multiple layers to the story and things like that are fun to explore. I'm trying to be careful not to give anything away. There's been a lot of talk over the years that, if people saw the film, it maybe wouldn't live up to the hype. I'll tell you, having read the original screenplay, I really like the story, and I really like what we were able to do about bringing this to the graphic novel form and taking a very big, complex ending Where I can see is a silent film that might have thrown people off because there's a lot going on at the end of this book, and really streamline it in a way that still hits every beat, but just communicates and honors the original ending. One of the reasons this film's so iconic is because, again, it was released in 1927, hadn't been seen in decades, and then the last copy was destroyed in a great studio fire in the 1960s. So this has been like the holy grail of film collectors. It's been the holy grail of horror fans and things like that. And it's been gone. And again, I was one of those people that kept waiting for it to show up, waiting for a copy to show up. But the flip side as well was, you know, that film back then was really flammable. You know, so even if a copy exists in an attic somewhere, I've come to terms with the fact that if Ron Chaney and Chaney Entertainment doesn't have a copy of this film, it's not there.
Is there anything else out there
What's that?
Is there anything else out there that's like reference material, or do they have any still images that were still around?
There's stills. Turner Classics did kind of like a recreation based on stills and stuff they had a number of years ago. The original screenplay is out there. This graphic novel is adapted from a remastered version of the original screenplay given to me directly by Ron Chaney. Because one of the things we wanted to do is take the silent film and then actually make it a graphic novel where there's dialogue and things like that. Mm-hmm. So this is directly based on that. But the closest you're going to get to the original is basically a slideshow, right? Maybe with music in the background, you know, a couple some still images and things like that. And they tried to put it together that way. What we're offering at LondonAfterMidnightComic.com for 1 week, until this time next Monday, then the Kickstarter ends, is a Kickstarter exclusive, leather-bound, hardcover edition of the graphic novel. Oof. That beautiful. Yeah, so that alone, right, is like, man, and that's it. We're gonna make them for the Kickstarter, and that's it. On top of that, we've unlocked 6 stretch goals. So now you get a Kickstarter exclusive book plate in your hardcover leather-bound book, signed by me, signed by illustrator Joshua Ross, signed by Ron Chaney. It's got an original remark sketch in it from Joshua Ross. It's going to get a blue ribbon inset, a blue ribbon bookmark in it. And what Ron and I are most excited about, now we're also going to get blue gilded pages on the hardcover.
Why blue? I want to know why blue. People used to do red. So,
right. Because we want to match the lettering on the cover.
Ah, smart.
Right. So that's, yeah. I was going to do we were talking about doing like black or like silver, but Ron and I were talking and it's like, you know, we just did silver on Homestead and stuff, but like that blue to like bring out the logo on the cover. Mm-hmm. Right, would be really neat. And then with the black leather and then the blue gilding and the blue ribbon, it's gonna be real sharp.
Oh yeah.
So and you know, on my Kickstarters, for people that are familiar with my work, we do free US shipping. So what you see is what you pay. You're not gonna have to tack on shipping on this book or anything like that. We get some really cool pledge levels. You can get like a t-shirt, you get a collector's coin. Our gimme everything on this one's ridiculous. $100, you get the digital, the soft cover, so you have a reader loaner copy, the hardcover, the t-shirt, and the commemorative coin. $100, free US shipping, out the door.
Wow. Yes. That would make a really great gift for someone on your list that you know is into the spook, like especially like someone that like, can you imagine like if you have someone on your list that is their era of stuff, that they're like, back in my day, we had real good stuff. You can be like, I'll show you. Here's your really good stuff.
Right.
I was paying attention when I said that.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm going to let backers know is that we're going to make a gift certificate or like a certificate for people that may be buying this for someone for Christmas or something like that. That, hey, if you're you know, want to get this book for someone, obviously it's not going to ship in time for Christmas. You know, the book is fully illustrated, fully colored. Dave Lentz is doing the lettering right now. So we'll have a pretty quick turnaround time on this. Mm-hmm. But that way people can have a certificate to give people like, look what I got you. Right.
It's like the certificate you got with the Star Wars 4-piece figure set before it was actually released for Christmas.
Right. That's exactly right. And then one of the things we're doing with this campaign as well, we have 1 week left. The campaign ends actually at 5 p.m. on Cyber Monday, or 5 or 5:30 Cyber Monday. Let's say 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's an exclusive for you, Jen, because we're friends and because I have so much love for you in the show. No one knows this yet. Exclusive. right here, because the love for you is real. In this final week, I got a permission from Ron Chaney this morning. We are announcing 2 last stretch goals on the campaign.
Ooh, I can't even imagine. What could you add? Real vials of blood.
That was the issue, right? Like, what do we add? And I'm really excited about this. We're doing them at 18 and 20, so 18,000 and 20,000. So we're jumping them by 2. We got 1 week left. We're going to go hard this last week. At 18,000, everyone who backs and whose pledge includes the Kickstarter exclusive leather-bound hardcover is going to get a digital making of comic with like behind the scenes art and stuff like that. Some of the original line art and different things like that. Then if we hit 20,000 by a week from today, at this time, next Monday, if we hit 20, we're going to upgrade the digital making of comic to a bonus book print comic that'll come with every leather-bound copy. We'll get a bonus comic that's Kickstarter exclusive, a making of, behind the scenes art, probably some script samples, stuff like that, and all kinds of cool stuff that doesn't basically fit in the main book that will be included just in the making of book.
You always figure out a way to be creative about the like the extra offerings, like the when you get to stretchy goal things. Sometimes it's just like, and you get a sticker, but you always come up with really things that make the actual product way more special. Like when you do the leather bound, or when you do like the cool foil pages, or when you get to have the things that are make a book seem like a really expensive thing, like adding those little like details makes it like a really special thing that stands out on your shelf and isn't just like another graphic novel that's out there.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, because as you can see, kind of my office behind me, I'm a book person, right? I'm literally talking to you from my own library. I love books. And this project especially, one of the things I talked to Ron Chaney about when we started this is I said, I want to start with a leather-bound hardcover, because this is such a prestige project, right? And I really wanted to make sure that we are treating this property with the reverence it deserves, right? The last campaign I did with Homestead, we did a hardcover. We did like silver gilding pages and stuff. We did different stuff like that. We did love stories. We did the red leather. So the upgrades you offer each book are really dependent on the property itself to me. But this one, I wanted to come right out of the box and just say, look, even if we just get funded, the people that fund it are getting a leather-bound hardcover. But now with the blue ribbon bookmark inset, the blue gilded pages, the triple signatures, this, and now the making of book, I want people to be able to see some of Joshua Ross's original line art too. Colin Johnson doing an incredible job coloring it, but even when you see like his line art, it's like, gosh, we could publish a whole version of this book just uncolored, unlettered almost, right? So you'll get to see some of that stuff and some of the behind the scenes that went into this.
Honestly and truly, like this kind of book specifically feels like it's just a layup for having a version that is all line art.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll see. I mean, one of the things again is like Ron and I have other projects we've talked about doing. We did announce when we first announced this partnership that the next book we're going to be doing is Curse of the Wolfman, which is the sequel to The Wolfman that was never released. Josh Warner from Source Point Press is going to be...
who's watching us mentioned that specific thing.
Yeah. So that's going to be in there too, right on. Good looking out, man. Yeah, so Curse of the Wolfman will be the next Lon Chaney book we do in partnership with Source Point Press and Chaney Entertainment. Josh Warner, our chief creative officer, is actually writing that book. He has actually written the adaptation. Yeah, he did Winchester Mystery House. He's one of the biggest Wolfman fans I know. And that's the time we're like, I'm not going to be greedy. I got my lifelong passion book out of it. Share the love. We're bringing back the man in the beaver hat. I'm good, Josh. Have the Wolfman. Knock yourself out, right? And then we'll go from there. We have some other projects we talked about and things like that. So we'll go from there. But the Chaney legacy is so powerful in film. They're so powerful in horror that we want to treat these projects with that amount of reverence and let people know this is your last chance to get it. And I promise you, there will be people out there that find out about this later and say, oh, I want the leather-bound version. We offer a retailer pledge, right? Some retailers can get a couple copies and save them or parts of ones they want, but I can't tell you how long it took me to get this. This is like the action figure that NECA put out of London After Midnight. There's a glare there, sorry. But I'm like, I'm writing the book. I should be able to get one of these easily. But NECA doesn't know, right? Yeah. London After Midnight merch is hard to find, and these leather-bound, Kickstarter exclusive leather-bound hardcovers are going to be a huge collector's item moving forward. So I've been just telling people, go deep if you want them, because there's not going to be more of those leather-bound hardcovers after this campaign ends.
Yeah, I think that's one of my regrets is that I think that I put both copies of the leather-bound out for just the regular public of the Tales of Mystery.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have one anymore, but that's okay. I'm one of those people who's like, it's not going to eat me if I don't have.
You don't have one for yourself?
No, I don't keep things. I'm bad about like if someone really wants something, I will sell it to them because I want them to have the joy. I've already owned it and had the joy. I got to read it.
Yeah. I'm talking to you in a stuffed library. I get it. It's like, man, it's like I will eventually run out of room, but I remind myself it's not hoarding if it's books.
But you can still put books laying down flat on top of all of those shelves.
That too. Oh, yeah. I've like learned like creatively stack like my Jinji E2 stuff. Like I can stack it this way, I can go higher, I can get more space. And yeah, there's all
literally
these.
my bookshelves literally have 2 rows of books in them. Like there's books behind my books.
Right. Like the hidden book, right? It's like, oh no, you want this one, right? Yeah, but we'll have to see. I actually, it's funny with those Tales of Mystery leather-bound. Some of those were damaged during shipping, even. So that book is extra rare. But
print run is
anyone that deserves one is you, Jen. So that's all I'm going to say.
That's okay. I don't know. I know this guy.
Yeah, I would give you one out of my vault, like here.
No, not that. Just like I know. I feel like I've got everything I need. I know the person that created the thing, so it doesn't matter if I have the physical object anymore. Okay, so I know JD asked a couple questions, but I think we answered both of them. JD, do you have any other questions? Because you seem like you totally know things. Can you guys find there was a comment that he made about Terrifier? Like we don't like our generation. There we go. Back in my day, the only Terrifier we had was Lon
JD, right? Well, that's it, and it's funny because again, I'm gonna touch on something I said earlier. There are people out there that say, well, the ending of London After Midnight originally was kind of convoluted and stuff like that. I feel I have to tread very lightly here because I don't want to give away the ending of people that don't know the story. I feel when London After Midnight was a silent film, and with Lon Chaney being more than one character, I believe his makeup special effects were so good they had to go out of their way to make sure people understood who Lon Chaney was, that he was the same character. So when I adapted the screenplay provided by Ron Chaney to a graphic novel, I'm reading it and I'm like, there's a lot going on here, right? And a lot of action, a lot of terror in the end of the book and stuff. I'm like, why did they do this? I'm like, so you think of it, I hate to say it sounds so pretentious, but like as a writer, like, why did they format it this way, right? And then when I realized, well, this is a silent film, Dirk, and I'm talking to myself, right? I'm like, people may not have been aware that this guy was also this guy. So when I went through and I adapted the screenplay in that final scene, that final chapter, I was like really nervous giving it to Ron. I'm like, okay, I didn't say anything. I'm like, tell myself this hits all the beats, this honors the story exactly. But I just adjusted things a tiny bit so that it works well as a comic book, not a movie, but also recognizing we have dialogue now, we can put in stuff like that. And Ron's like, oh, Dirk, this is great. He goes, that original ending of the silent film was a little bit tricky to follow almost. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. So, but yeah, he was genuinely terrifying. And people talk, like you read movie reviews at the time and they said, holy mackerel, Lon Chaney is terrifying. Yeah, he was the Art the Clown of that generation. He was just incredible and creepy, and the big eyes and all that stuff. So
Talking to yourself means you get more quality answers. Agreed.
Sometimes the best and worst conversations I have, sometimes the most intelligent conversations and the dumbest conversations are conversations with myself. It's just evidence of how much time I spend by myself, locked in here with the keyboard, I suppose. So
I find myself giggling a lot. My son will be like, "What are you giggling about?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just having a good day."
It's too long to explain. Right. Right. Or like if I wrote, it was like this when I did Cthulhu Jr. with Scoot McMahon. I would write it and actually laugh at stuff. And then he draws it and makes it even funnier. And I would be looking at it and just like laughing. I'm like, man, if someone just like just heard me in my office cackling to myself, especially for something that I was involved in co-creating, it's like, but when it works, right? And then, you try to explain it to people, like,
okay, so I want to go back and talk about a little bit of a tie that you said that, like, you made this connection through George, who's the manager of Twisted.
Yes.
People might not know that Twisted, those guys are huge horror fans, big time horror fans, like incredible. They collect action figures, and I don't know how deep their love goes, but like, those guys more. Like, how did that connection happen? Why were those two people connected?
So George, like Jamie and Paul from Twisted, is a horror fan. And George is specifically a huge Wolfman fan. And I believe it was at the Magic Ninja Entertainment Christmas party, if I'm not mistaken, that George kind of says to me, he goes, "Hey, you know who Lon Chaney is?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "Well, I'm talking to his great-grandson about getting a Wolfman," and I don't want to talk too much on scooping his business out there, but he's about doing some business with him to get some Wolfman merch. And he goes, and I was talking to him, and Haunted Highon, we had a lot of success with Haunted Highons, obviously, multiple Ringo Award nominations, and just did really well on Kickstarter. And he goes, "Would you be willing to talk with him about doing some graphic novel stuff based on some of his work?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." Oh yeah. So George is just such a great dude. You're really not going to meet many people, if anyone, that does not like George. He's a great guy, really stand-up dude. And you met him. And so George connected me with Ron, and we talked about adapting some of the work that way. But because George was working with Ron to get some Wolfman stuff, and then the idea of the comic book came up and things like that. So that's why George Valakis, what you'll see in the credits of the book, is actually listed as our head of talent relations, right? He manages several bands anyway and things like that. But we wanted to give George his credit as well on this. So he's actually head of talent relations on this book, because he's the one that connected Ron and I to make this connection, bring London at After Midnight back to life. And then these other projects we'll be doing, including Curse of the Wolfman and things like that.
What a perfect thing. So was Ron even thinking about doing such a thing? Or is this something that George was like, "Hey, have you thought about doing this thing?"
I don't know if George kind of mentioned it first or Ron did. My impression, and again, this is my impression of how it went. I believe George was talking to Ron about the Haunted High-End comics and gave him some. Said, "Yeah, we got this really cool thing going, Source Point Press. They made a comic, and showed it to him." And then Ron was like, "Oh, well, is that something we could do with some of my work?" Because, a lot of the Hollywood connected people, they like to go graphic novel to movie, because you do the graphic novel to movie, then obviously you're kind of fast tracking like what this would look like. And I'm not saying, I can't speak to if that was Ron's motivation or not, but they got talking about Haunted Highons. Ron, it piqued his interest. George came to me like, "Hey, you want to have this conversation?" And again, I mainly focus on creator-owned stuff. I love working with Twisted because I love their hustle. I love what they do. It was a perfect project for Mariana Piscosta and Alessandro De Fornassari to do. But again, when I do a project for someone else, I'm taking one of mine and pushing it back. But that being said, it's Lon freaking Chaney's estate. Yeah. I met Ron, and he was a great, awesome dude, and I have a lot of love for Ron. And then on top of that, finding we could do London After Midnight, I'm like, sometimes you just gotta read the tea leaves, right? You gotta accept the signs as they come to you, and you know, whether you believe in manifestation or divine intervention or higher power, whatever you look at, I've modeled my brand icon after the Man in the Beaver hat for February will be 22 years since I started publishing.
That's awesome.
I would pay to do this, quite frankly. You know, not even about me making money. I would have paid to have this opportunity to do it. I'll say that now that we're this deep into the campaign, that's fine, you know. But so to be able to shepherd this property back to life and bring it back to life officially and definitively, and now eternally. How amazing! And that's just one more reason I'm in debt to George Valakis for making that happen. I have a picture of me and George above my desk up here. No one can see it. But I have a lot of love for George, and I love working with him. And obviously, they do the Astronomicon convention every year, and continue to have so much success. And he helps run Silver Scream for Ice Nine Kills. Just he deserves all the success him and his people get. And George just makes it happen.
Yeah, he does. Oh, as a fan, to see your sheer enjoyment and excitement about being able to do this awesome. It's awesome. Well deserved, boss. Love it.
It's just wild, you know. I really appreciate that. 5 years ago, I never would have imagined I would have had this opportunity, you know. And I'm very anxious to get back to creator-owned stuff again, because this is the first time in my career, Jen, where we just did Homestead.
Yep.
And I know you'll be getting your books will be going out here this week, I promise. Then we have this book, London After Midnight, which people can check out till next Monday at londonaftermidnightcomic.com. Then the book we're announcing in January that we'll do the Kickstarter February, March for is also not a creator-owned book. It's something I'm doing with, all I can say, and I can be very careful, I'm collaborating with a #1 New York Times best-selling personality in horror.
Okay.
But the reason I bring this up, this will be the first time in my career where I'm doing 2 back-to-back big projects that are not creator-owned. So I've got Tales of Mystery Volume 6 in the wings. I've got Hope Volume 3 in the wings. I've got another creator-owned thing in the wings. I got another thing after that in the wings. I got like all these projects in play. My capacity as an independent creator, and again, obviously I have the support of SourcePoint Press, but I'm comfortable like at the 3 books a year spot. I'll do 3 original graphic novels a year, which when you do this stuff independently is a lot. I don't want to overburden my readers. I don't want to overburden my teams. 3 books a year, especially doing the Kickstarter model first, is that's a comfortable place to be. Right. But it's weird that these 2 huge books, London After Midnight, and then this other thing which I can't talk about till January 1st, it feels weird to me that I'm doing 2 big non-creator-owned books in a row after just doing this run of Right or Wrong and Hope and Homestead and Love Stories. And now I'm like, I'm just anxious to get back to like the Mysteries and the Hopes and this other new creator-owned stuff I want to do. But again, to have these opportunities with London After Midnight and this other mystery book, no pun intended, this book of which I cannot name, how do you say no to these opportunities to work with such great people and great high profile projects and bring these things to life and recognize, like you said at the beginning, coming full circle, I'm being given the opportunity to work on very, very cool stuff. How do you can't say no to that, and you have to be grateful for that, and you have to utilize those opportunities. So yeah, it's wild. I'm really excited.
So it kind of feels like the con season is wrapped up maybe for the year. Is there any more on your slate before the first of the year?
No, I might be doing a store sign. I might be doing I'm doing a store signing with our friend Chris Rupp.
Oh, awesome.
In Fremont, Ohio. I'm doing his midnight sale in December. Weather pending. December in Ohio, driving to Fremont, Ohio in December late at night. As long as there's no snowstorms, I'll be doing that. I might be working in one other store signing, but conventions are done for me until February. And then February we'll start to gear back up. I want to take some time to kind of downtime to process, recharge, get work done, maybe clean my office here a little bit, and then February we'll be getting back on the road with conventions and going from there.
That's awesome. Do you have any other? I know you can't talk about that one project, but is your next creator-owned slated? Do you know exactly what you're going to do?
Tales of Mystery Volume 6 with Austin McKinley.
Okay.
I am so Austin has been turning in pages on that. Austin McKinley absolutely rocked Tales of Mystery Volume 5. He did a great story at Tales of Mystery Volume 3. He'll be the first artist to do 2 full Tales of Mystery graphic novels back to back, which is pretty wild. Yeah, wildly. Because usually I do different artists for different volumes, but Austin's been crushing it. And,
okay, so I have a question for you about that.
Yeah.
So is there a storytelling reason for using a different artist every time, or is it just to like keep it fresh, or are the artists then busy because they become famous from doing your work?
Right.
Unavailable? What happens?
Everything? No, ultimately it's story first for me. When I was working on Tales of Mystery Volume 4, I remember saying, okay, Seth did a great job on Tales of Mystery Volume 4, but I said, you will not like Tales of Mystery Volume 5. Mm-hmm. I said, this is not going to be up your alley. He was talking about doing some other stuff anyway. I said, look, man, it's cool, do that. But to me, it's about the story first, right? And really finding the artist that's best going to communicate the story in the way that I think honors their style is going to be fun for them, as well as honor the story. I've worked with amazing artists on Tales of Mystery. When you look at the lineup of artists on this property, it's been incredible. Would someone like Scoot McMahon be good for Tales of Mystery? It had to be a real specific type of story, right? A real specific story. But then you also you're right, Jen. I mean, in full disclosure, you have to factor in schedules. You have to factor in the fact that doing an original graphic novel takes a lot of time. And do people want to commit that time to this project or something else? I've been very fortunate with Austin that he just had his book Riot Force just landed in his hands today. He'll be shipping that out to his backers. He's working on some other cool creator-owned stuff, but he really loves mystery. Austin McKinley was the colorist on Tales of Mystery Volume 1. He loves this property, and I love working with him. And when I wrote 5 for him, and then I wrote 6 knowing he's going to be able to draw it. And him and I have talked. I don't want to put him on blast, but my intention as it stands right now is he'll be doing 5. He did 5, doing 6, and then Volume 7 as well.
Okay.
So because the way that, again, I mean, I don't want to put him on blast, but I've told him very clearly. I said, there's a big story arc here in Act 2, and it would be amazing to have you on all 3 of them because I think it's just going to work. So we'll see. We'll see where things take us, but.
You left it on a pretty huge cliffhanger. Are you picking up right where you left off?
Pretty close. Yeah, okay. Very close. And I'll tell you all something exclusive. As I see it now, Volume 7 is going to pick up almost immediately after Volume 6. Okay. So this is very much an interconnected arc of these next 3 volumes. But yeah, we addressed that pretty quickly. The major cliffhanger at the end of Tales of Mystery Volume 5, which is going to continue to shake the foundations of the Tales of Mystery universe, which it is. And if you read that series, it's going to shake it in very horrific and unexpected ways.
Oh, yeah.
I know what's coming, and I feel so bad laughing. But
the series has multiple times made me a little more than a little bit sick to my stomach, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's not gonna. Just like with Hope, it's not gonna get any easier for Mystery. I promise you that. It's gonna be so awful in the best ways. Not awful in quality, but Tales of Mystery Volume 6 is a payoff to a short story we did for the Kickstarter exclusive comic in Tales of Mystery Volume 2. Okay. A lot of vampires in Volume 6.
Okay.
A lot of vampires. So, what was I say? Not the sexy, glittery, sparkly kind either.
No sparkle?
No sparkle vampire. Hey, if you like sparkle vampire, no shame. Twilight did a lot to get a lot of young women readers into horror, and that's wonderful. But Tales of Mystery, this is going to be a much, it's going to be, there's going to be a lot going on.
Would you ever think about, or have you ever thought about if you were to cross Tales of Mystery over with any other character in your own universe or elsewhere? If it was something that was logical at all?
Yeah, I mean, Tales of Mystery is a spin-off of Nightmare World, so you see a lot of the Nightmare World characters cross in. Tales of Mystery Volume 5. Tales of Mystery Volume 5 had a payoff that for me was almost 20 years in the making. Mm-hmm. Because Tales of Mystery Volume 5 has a payoff to the story For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, which was like I think the 7th Nightmare World story I ever wrote. So to me, I always get joy out of the Nightmare World story, sometimes seeping into Tales of Mystery. Thelma Lushkin appeared originally in Nightmare World. She's a huge part of the Tales of Mystery stuff, has been and will be moving forward. But outside of Nightmare World, I've thought about it here and there, but it's tricky because Nightmare World is such this big tapestry already. Right. I think most of the crossover stuff comes from the Nightmare World stuff crossing into Tales of Mystery. But I've thought about, like, would it be fun to do like a Hope Mystery crossover? Because I think those are brother-sister books in terms of tone. I did write, and it never came to fruition when I was at Devil's Due, a Mercy Sparks mystery crossover story.
Oh, how cool would that have been?
Because Mystery appears in Mercy Sparks. And then the flip side was we were going to do it the other way. And I could probably talk to Josh and maybe still do it at some point. It was a really fun story. It was a short story. So that was a lot of fun. That was really a riot because Mercy Sparks is such a antithetical character to Mystery. And it's rare I write something that doesn't eventually get published anyway. So maybe it'll happen someday. I'll just have to talk to Josh. We'll see. But to me, ultimately, it's about the Nightmare World crossover stuff and getting to pay off threads from Nightmare World and Mystery. And again, we're friends, and I'll just tell you and those listening this deep into it. Thelma Lushkin. We've seen bits of her throughout Mystery, but I'm telling you right now, y'all ain't ready for what eventually is going to be happening in that story arc with Doomashine. And that's something
I can read again so I can refresh myself.
Yeah, and she just pops in here and there. I think her biggest speaking role in Ree was in Volume 4. But if you really pay attention to what's going on in Tales of Mystery with the stuff with the Promise Group and stuff with Doomashine, you can start to extrapolate certain things that are eventually going to happen. But I still get giddy every time I get to thread something that maybe I put in Nightmare World years ago that I knew it eventually get to. But I also like a lot of stuff being self-contained too. But Nightmare World Mystery, that's my exception. Like, I don't know if I could do a Mystery Homestead crossover, or something like that. It just wouldn't. It would jam. Although maybe Cthulhu Jr. showing up might be fun. But I don't know. I don't know how Mystery would react to the Dastardly Dirk character. And maybe you just started something there. Well, maybe we'll finally get that Scoot McMahon Tales of Mystery story.
I mean, you're an amazing writer, and I know you could figure out a way to make it make sense for all of a sudden the art style to change, but it lends itself to what the story is about.
Man, that would be fun. Dang it. No, it's not. I just felt the seed go into the dirt. Like, so we'll see. Right now, we're going to focus on London After Midnight, and then Tales of Mystery will be the next creator-owned thing after the other thing that I can't name that I almost just accidentally named again.
Okay, so proud of you.
Yeah. Well, so you set me up and then are proud that I didn't fall for it is what you did.
Yep. Hey, man, I'm never about getting people in trouble, but
no, I know.
If someone leaves it out there, like, it's possible to get the information out. I just need to figure out how to.
No, I know for a fact some of the secrets that you've kept, and I only know you kept that secret till after the fact. And I'd like to think that I'm someone that I'm very spoiler sensitive. I don't like to spoil stuff for people. But goodness gracious, some of the stuff that you've been on the tip about. I don't know how you do it.
I am a lockbox.
We know our own people on that one, right? I get it. Like I try to be very careful about not giving away stuff about stories I'm doing and things like that. But man, yeah, yeah. No spoilers.
Lord help me if I ever get old enough to accidentally slip, but not know that I'm slipping.
Like, Chad, no. You're like the Tom Holland of the comic industry. No, be quiet.
Thank you so much. I know you've had a really long, awesome run, and I know you've got lots of things that you're working on creating, and I know that your mind is just like probably exploding right now with thinking about like how to fit more hours in a day to try to do more faster.
Well, that's why, like, it's funny. I was talking to someone else about this the other day. It's like, holidays, you mean days I can get more work done, right? It's like, yay, everything's shut down. I can get some things done, but not everyone works that way. Like, no, Dirk, we're not working on Thanksgiving night. We are going to be in a turkey coma. Like, oh, but that's like time when like everything's shut down and I can just do stuff, But no, I appreciate it. And I appreciate your continued support and the support of the EXP and stuff like that. And everyone backing this, I fully recognize that the opportunity I have now on things like London After Midnight, which again, I implore people, if you are a horror fan, if you are a silent film fan, if you are just a fan of really nice collector's edition of books, LondonAfterMidnightComic.com. You have 1 week left to get it. I recognize the only reason that I get to do this stuff to the degree I do is because people enjoy my work and support my work and support me and support my teams. And I'm so exceptionally grateful for that. And you're a big part of that too. So thank you. I mean, I appreciate you so much. You're just an amazing person, an amazing comic shop owner. The stuff the XP is incredible. And everyone else out there, thank you. I can't say it enough. London After Midnight wouldn't be coming back if people hadn't been supporting my work for years to put me in a position where I can then now pay this forward and bring it to people. I'm really excited about it, but I know a lot of other excited people are excited about it too. So, it's a team effort. And just thank you, and thank you to all of you watching this. Thank you to those of you back in the campaign, spreading the word about the campaign. It's really an honor, and I appreciate it. I'm going to continue to try to pay it forward for as long as I'm doing this, which I got a while yet. Like you said, there's still a lot to do, so we're gonna keep going.
Oh yeah. All right, everybody that's watching, or if you watch it later on, we do have links in the comments from wherever you're watching it from. You're watching it Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, anywhere you're watching from. You should have that into the comments so you can make it easy. Click over. Even if you just want to go and look and see what the offering looks like, I'd say just go over there and give it a look-see. And, you guys supporting these kind of projects means that more of these kind of projects get made. So you don't have to buy a giant amount of stuff. You can feel completely content with buying a digital copy of this. If digital copy is what makes you happy, because every little bit helps get to that next level so everyone else can have super fancy stuff.
Yeah. And and like you said, people want to get, sometimes people email me and like, oh, I'm starting to get the digital. I'm like, why are you apologizing? I mean, if that's how you consume your media, and if that's what you have room for, get it. Some people like to give me everything, the shirts and the stuff. Cool. There's no shame in it. Get what you like. And even if you just share the link, LondonAfterMidnightComic.com. But again, the exclusive here is I will be announcing it as soon as we're done here. 2 new stretch goals. So if you're jumping in on that leather-bound edition, we can get a making of digital book, and then if we're lucky, a making of print edition of that comic. But yeah, just pledge to your level of comfort. Pledge what you want, and just know it all matters, and we all appreciate it. And I'm going to continue to do everything I can to keep paying it forward.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I just want to thank everybody who tunes in every week to Talking Shop. We really appreciate it. If you have creators that you really, really wish that we would interview, they have projects coming up you want us to know about, please feel free to reach out to the experience so that we can consider them. We'll always try to fit people in the schedule if we can. Some things we have like a hard set schedule for we can't move around, but we're interested in what you're interested in. So thanks for supporting us. We know that you guys are out there loving comic books and keeping everybody healthy in the comic book industry. We're so thankful for y'all. Hey, Leonard comes in at the last minute. Hey, Leonard.
Hey, Leonard. Watch the replay, brother.
All right, everybody, stick around. We got lots of cool stuff happening on the experience this week. Do know that a lot of the shows are going to be off on Thursday. Also know that if you go into this show after we're completely finished and make comments on the show, it actually helps the algorithm quite a bit. So you would be my hero if you would do so. You can just say, this was a dope show. Or Jen's a dope. That's fine too. It all works in the algorithm. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys next
works.
time. Thanks, Dirk.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate it, everybody. Thanks.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.